So when we left the MTC, I remember it was like pretty early in the morning. I remember we were like on the little coaster that they were, a little mini bus, whatever you call it, on the way to the airport, and I remember just like looking at the mountains, and I was like, I have a hunch that I'm not going to see anything like this, like for the next 2 years. And it was, it was like super long layover, whatever. And when we finally got there, it was like 12 o'clock at night. And there's not much of a time difference between here and El Salvador. I think it's just an hour. Anyway, we got there, and you walk out, and it's kind of like, U.S. Airlines, or like a U.S. airport, in the sense that you like walk out and there's everyone waiting for you. But here was just like mass chaos. There was just like people everywhere, and it was hot and it was humid, and everyone was speaking Spanish, and they had like detained a couple of us in like customs and stuff because we had no idea what we were doing. No one spoke really good Spanish. So we finally get out, and our mission president saw us, and so he just came up and like bear hugged us. And then I remember his son actually was in the MTC at the time that I was there, and I saw him, and I took pictures with him. So the first thing that his wife asked me was, where's your camera? Where's your camera? I want to see the pictures of my son. So I pulled my camera out. It was the first thing she did, and so then from then on, like my whole mission, she's like, my son always says great things about you. She's like, I'm always going to remember you. So that was kind of a funny way that it started. And then from there, like, we got all our luggage, loaded it up into they call them coasters. They're like these weird little bus things. And got in the bus and took off for the assistant's house. And they passed out Subway, but our flight had gotten in super late, so it was like super cold and like kind of soggy. I remember that. And I remember thinking, the assistants got up and they were speaking. And I remember just thinking that they were the coolest guys in the entire world. Like, there was this one guy who was from Honduras. His name was Elder Aguilar. And I was just like, I want to be exactly like him. It's like, that is the missionary I want to be. He was confident. He was super nice. He was super respectful. And for the next couple weeks, months, because he left only like when I had like 4 months in the mission, I just remember thinking, I want to do everything I can to be this missionary. And so that was like a pretty cool first impression. We finally got to the assistant's house, and then like there was just like a bunch of mattresses on the ground and like no sheets and like no blankets. So I slept that night in like no blankets, and it was like cold, and I didn't know what I was doing. And then I got up the next morning, and they're like, they got us up at like 4:30, because at that point there was like 23 people in the house, because the whole office was there, and then all of us. So they're like, all right, you guys got to start showering now so we can be ready. And I get in the shower, and like the drain's busted, so I'm in like water up to like the tops of my ankles. And there was like a window there, and there was like a tree coming in, like tree branches. And I just remember thinking, where am I? There was like a gecko on the wall, like a little gecko, and it was just crazy. And so then, like, we had our first meeting, and our mission president came in. He was just like, just commanding authority. And I remember thinking, okay, I want to be like Elder Aguilar, but I want to be like him. Like, holy cow. I just saw he was like next to the apostles, like the most righteous man on earth. Like, it was just crazy. And that like whole feeling kind of like stayed with me for the first like 2-3 changes in my mission. I had a pretty tough companion my second change. But even then, like, I just remember walking around, and I always try and explain this when I teach mission prep or when I go into the MTC or anything. It's like, it was like a magic. I just remember walking around, and I'd like look at signs, and I was just like, this isn't real. Like, I'm not on my mission. I've waited my whole life to do this. I've been so excited. And stuff was in Spanish, and people would come up and start talking to me, and I'd be like, I have no idea what they're saying, but this is so awesome. And like, I'd be in lessons, and I'd be trying to teach, and I couldn't say anything, and they'd start laughing, and my companion would be like, dude, it's okay, like, you're gonna get it. He was from Guatemala. And it was just an incredible experience. And later on in my mission, I I just always wished that like I could go back to just being like a junior companion, beginning of the mission, because it was just like magical. I don't know, I loved it. Starting the mission, the whole mission was awesome, but starting the mission was so cool. It was fun.